Thank you, Jen. My name is Anna Peterson. I'm part of a youth organisation called UNECE, which works for the promotion of meaningful youth participation and the sexual and reproductive health and rights of young people. But I'm speaking here today as a representative of civil society, as part of the regional CSO engagement mechanism for this review process, and to present the outcomes of the preparatory CSO forum of yesterday. We met 70 civil society representatives from diverse constituencies and sub-regions. Unfortunately, there have been fewer participants than last year due to funding constraints, but nevertheless an increased engagement and motivation. I would like to start by giving thanks to my colleagues from civil society for choosing me to be their voice. I was supported to do this as the representative of youth, but also as the representative of an organisation working to promote sexual and reproductive health and rights. These rights are often invisible, that is, unless they're challenged. Take here an example, the Me Too movement, which is making visible what has too long been invisible. That we live in a world where violence, harassment, and discrimination based on gender is common and in some cases accepted. But it is, of course, unacceptable that 1 in 5 women globally have or will suffer physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. For each and every one of the 17 goals, there are right holders who are not having their rights met. Just to name a few: persons with disabilities, youth, older persons, LGBTQIA, homeless, informal workers, migrants, and refugees. Here, I'll focus on the right holders affected by the lack of implementation of the goals which are up for review this year. In relation to SDG 6, we have to acknowledge that we're currently leaving behind the world population of our region. Despite the policy processes at UNECE, such as the Protocol on Water and Health, we've seen hardly any progress for the last 20 years. This is not to mention how we fail young women and girls when they're on their periods. The lack of safe sanitation in school will cause some young girls to skip school. This is not to mention homeless women who are forced to use unsanitary solutions when they're on their periods. In addition, privatization of water provision has shown its limits, and we need to strengthen public ownership and regulation of this common good. In relation to SDG 7, our region's energy sector is one of the world's biggest polluters and causes 600,000 deaths annually due to air pollution. The nuclear energy sector poses increasing risks to the region, including from the unsolved problem of nuclear waste. We urgently need to transform our energy system to zero fossil fuels by eliminating fossil fuel subsidies while ensuring a just transition for workers and communities. In relation to SDG 11, we need bottom-up participation, transparency, and accountability in urban planning. The needs of vulnerable people should be taken into account and supported by disaggregated data collection. Adequate gender-inclusive planning and budgeting is key to make sure cities provide safe public spaces free of gender-based violence. We're concerned about accountability of the private sector, particularly when project fails. How do we ensure that innovative finance, including public-private partnerships, acts in the best interest of the people? Civil society should be included in decision-making, implementation, and monitoring of urban projects. All public-private partnerships should comply with human rights standards and contribute to poverty reduction. Women, older persons, persons with disabilities, or homeless people are affected disproportionately when cities and communities are non-inclusive, inaccessible, and unsafe. In relation to SDG 12, we face a huge challenge in our region, which mainly consists of societies that keep consuming more and more. We need to decrease our resource consumption in absolute terms. Achieving SDG 12 is not just about fostering innovation and making consumers aware, but about systemic change, about changing the growth paradigm and finding a new balance in a post-growth society, an economy that offers decent jobs and fulfills the needs of people, but within the caring capacity of the planet. On that note, the canteens of the UN should stop selling plastic bottles. In relation to SDG 15, we need to embrace that many UNECE countries are champions on environment. Government should raise ambition on biodiversity protection and drive transformational change through the integration of biodiversity into social, economic, and climate policies, among others. This year's HLPF represents a unique opportunity to draw the attention of policymakers and the general public on biodiversity and other environmental issues to highlight their essential role for our survival. All of the above-mentioned measures need inclusion of and cooperation with civil society to ensure the full implementation of all SDGs. The lessons from the region show that the level of inclusion of civil society in SDG implementation varies greatly, including in the BNR process. We encourage governments and donors to engage directly with local authorities and civil society to support implementation on the ground. We call for all of the UNECE countries to support CSO involvement in the implementation and review of the SDGs. This way, we continue to ensure that invisible issues are being brought to the fore and the voices of all will be heard and acted upon. Thank you.